Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to call the Common Council meeting to order for Tuesday, March 7th. I'm filling in as chair for the meeting, and I am going to retain my right to vote.
Councilor Olson?
Here.
Councilor Tom Fennessy?
Here.
Councilor Bender is excused. Councilor Sweeney?
Here.
Councilor Brent Fennessy?
Here.
Councilor Garfield?
Here.
Councilor Ludwig?
Here.
Councilor Herrick?
Here.
Councilor Kern?
Here.
And Councilor Dalbeck.
Here.
The quorum present. Item number 4 is approval of the minutes from the February 7th regular council meeting and the February 7th committee of the whole meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the committee meeting minutes, for the council meeting minutes. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All against? Approved.
Item number 5.1 is a public hearing, a resolution introduced by the Plan Commission to vacate and discontinue a portion of Winter Street located in the vicinity of Fisher Avenue and Winter Street.
Motion approved. It's a public hearing.
Which one?
The first one.
Oh, it is a public one. I
Yeah.
didn't see that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'll call the public meeting to order, and all those that wish to speak in favor of or oppose, please do so now. For a second time, all those that wish to speak in favor of or opposed, please do so now. And for a third time, all those that wish to speak in favor of or opposed, please do so now. Hearing no comments, I will close the public meeting.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Item number 5.2 is a public hearing regarding housing and community development needs. There needs to be no action on this, but we do have to hold the public hearing.
Okay, I'll call the public hearing to order. This time, all those that want to speak in favor of or in opposition to, please do so now. For a second time, all those in favor of or in opposition to, please speak now. And for a third time, all those who wish to speak in favor of or in opposition to, do so now. Hearing no comments, I will close the public hearing. Council?
Item
Do we have to, we don't need an action.
No action. 5.3, a public hearing regarding fair housing choice. This also does not need any action.
Okay, once again, I will open the public hearing on this item. All those that wish to speak in favor of or opposition to, please do so now. For a second time, all those that wish to speak in favor of or in opposition to, please do so now. And for a third time, all those that wish to speak in favor of or in opposition to, please do so now. Hearing no comments, I will close the public hearing.
There's no action required. Item number 6 is a consent agenda.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion. Yes.
I would like to vote 6:15 for discussion.
Is there a 6:15? Is there
Which one is it?
Yeah.
the human resources?
Oh, 6:16.
6:16.
Oh, 16, I'm sorry. Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to pull item 6.16 from the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Now, there's been a
We
motion.
need a motion to approve the remainder.
Yeah, and I think wasn't there a motion in a
Oh,
second?
there was.
too? Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So there was a motion and a second to approve the remainder of the consent agenda. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Item 6.16 is the Plan Commission from February 15, 2017, recommending approval of an ordinance to change the permitted uses in C2 Highway Commercial District with the revision that the Planning Department add language stating that the design standards must reflect surrounding buildings and are subject to review and approval by the Planning Department.
Jason, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Just a question on the zoning change. I understand that it is for the Kmart store on Tower Avenue. What are the boundaries when we're changing this? Is this going to be inclusive to the Kmart store? There's some language in there about surrounding areas. So what ordinance are we changing and how big of an area does it encompass?
Councilor Olson, sure. The ordinance is actually part of the C2 zoning ordinance language. So what it's doing is it's allowing this type of use, which is pretty specific and kind of designed for the Kmart, for the cat is out of the bag, the U-Haul store that's going to be there. So it applies to the C2 zoning code. I don't know if it makes sense to you. It just doesn't apply to the Kmart. It could apply to other properties that are within the C2 zoning. We had this conversation at Plan Commission about, okay, does this open the door for others? I think part of our language, Dan, that we've put in there is to have an inclusive, it's got to have a retail component to it, which is part of the ordinance change, as well as it's got to meet some design standards. So the design standards that you see there, that was added by the Plan Commission so that it kind of blends in with the rest of what's around it, whether it be a Superior Choice Credit Union, whether it be the Remax, the old Jubilee Foods that was there. But it's just to kind of more or less be a little bit more specific so that we don't have a proliferation of these. And I don't anticipate that we will, but it's just a matter of trying to accommodate, but yet make it specific so that it's not everybody can do it.
Okay, thank you for that. My biggest concern is that there are 2 vacant buildings within 4 blocks of that Kmart building.
Yep.
Would those 2 buildings be included in the C2 highway commercial zoning change?
Yeah. Yes, they would. Yes, they would. But Dan, I think that, at least in my opinion, I think that what this is going to do to the market, I don't think you're going to see another one pop up in the Target or in the Goodwill or anything of that nature, just because of some of these stipulations. I don't think the market could bear it.
But by ordinance, they could.
Technically, if they met all the requirements of what we just drew up, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Entertain a motion to approve this item.
Motion to approve.
Second.
The motion's been made and seconded to approve 6.16. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Was that, Dan, did you vote no?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
Okay, thanks.
I think so.
Oh, I didn't hear Ruth.
Ruth,
What's
can we
that?
take a vote?
Yeah.
Did you vote? We're going to take a roll call
Yeah.
vote.
I voted for approval.
Dan was the only,
Okay.
okay.
Thanks for the clarification.
Councilor Fennessy, this will also there will be an ordinance at the end of the council meeting for this as well. So.
Item 7.1, Public Works Director Janico is recommending approval of the fixed base operators agreement with Skydive Duluth Superior LLC, Dean Boudin, through November 30th, 2017 for the use of the Richard I. Bong Airport for $500 annually.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve and second for this item. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Hearing none, motion carries.
Item 7.2, Planning Director Zirk is requesting to endorse the Earth Rider Brewing LLC, former Lehman Mercantile Building, application to the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation's Community Develop Initiative Grant Program.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded for this item. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Hearing no opposition, motion passes.
Environmental Services Director Roberts is requesting approval to award the engineering services for Newton Creek and Nelson Creek trunk sewers to Donahue and Associates at a proposed cost of $110,390 with the option for ESD to award construction-related services and grant management for up to an additional $88,400.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded for approval. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
7.4, Environmental Services Director Roberts is requesting a waiver of the ordinance restricting the use of pesticides on city lands for the application of herbicides on the Newton Creek trunk sewer to be effective immediately and expire no later than June 30th, 2017.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded for approval. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Finance Director Vito is requesting approval of the professional services agreement for priority-based budgeting software and services between Resource Exploration LLC, Resource X, and the City of Superior.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded for approval. Discussion? Councilor Barfield.
So since the last meeting, I've been learning a little bit more, and I guess I still have some more information I'd like to gather, but I heard that the county was able to pull off priority-based budgeting without bringing in a consultant. I was just wondering, Gene, if you have any insight as to whether or not that's something we'd be capable of doing given your department and staffing.
I was just looking at the county's 2017 budget today online, and they do have a very wonderful budget document, and it talks about priority-based budgeting in that document, and so a lot of the terminology is very similar, where they identify what are called results, meaning what are the goals that they wanted as a county, and then how did they wanted to then apply any dollars available for spending to spend that, obviously while keeping those results or goals in mind. I don't actually know the process that they went through for that. I did email their finance director, Candy Anderson, yesterday, and asked her just for some FYI, how did the county move through that? Because I know that they started that, I think, a few years ago. But as of right now, I don't have a whole lot of detail, and so I don't feel totally, I guess, prepared to answer that question, because I don't understand exactly how the county went through it, and I don't know if they had the same, reaching out to the public and trying to hold meetings and get information from the public, or if they just did it all internally with county board and administration staff. So I probably have as many questions as you do on that.
Sure. I've had a couple of county board members approach me and suggest they thought that it could be done in-house without need to bring in a contractor. I guess in light of that, I'm still not opposed to the option of potentially hiring a contractor if it's going to have the added value for us. But I would like to know more about what the county did and research the option of doing it without the consultant first. And I guess in light of that, I would suggest we delay this item. But I would like feedback from the other counselors as well.
Councilor Kern?
Yeah, Gene, kind of looking over their contract that they have, and I know that you did some outsourced vetting with some other communities that have used this company. I believe it says 120 hours are included in our initial contract, and I know one of the slides that was presented to us that time is one of the biggest factors that was put on there of making sure when you think you need enough time, how much more. Was that question ever addressed to any of the other counties on if they went over budget on hours and the potential that that's going to add to this contract?
I have no knowledge that any of the others had to pay more, but it never came up in the conversations with them, so that doesn't mean it isn't necessarily true. It could be possible, but I'm not aware that that's happened. And the organization, this Center for Priority-Based Budgeting, they seem they're striking me as extremely organized in any of the conversations that we've had with them thus far, and they actually took a little risk on themselves and have actually started to give us guidance in moving forward with priority-based budgeting under the assumption that the contract would be approved. And so they've given us some time frames for how many days they think each of the tasks involved would take, and I don't have any anticipation that we would be not able to accomplish this within the $20,000 that they've quoted us.
Councilor Herrick.
Yeah, Gene, just a question for you. Of course, we know that once this contract is approved, we can keep going with them for an additional $15,000 a year. Are we required to sign a 3-year contract or anything, or is it year by year? And do you think, with that in mind, do you think that's something that maybe once we know what we're doing, we can maybe separate from that?
There's no requirement to, if we sign a contract for a year, we're with them for a year. Sure. If the council and everybody didn't like this process, we could go through it for 1 year and say we're done. We're not going into the second year and paying $15,000. In fact, I think there is the possibility that you could go through it 1 year and you identify all the programs that you're doing and you put the cost to them and you prioritize them. And maybe things don't change that much from 1 year to the next, where you don't have to go through that every single year. I don't know that, but I think it's possible. Maybe you do it every 3 years or every 4 years, and you update it as you have new services or don't require certain services, and if the financial picture changes substantially and you find yourself in a much worse budgetary gap situation, then maybe you want to bring that process back and have that computerized module that helps you step through all that and do all the presentations and present the information. So,
thank you.
Councilor Sweeney.
I'm not suggesting the sky is falling, because I'd never do that, but I don't think that, I think the time is now to pass this and to move, because this is going to be, I think, far more work than we think it's going to be, and it's going to take longer than we think it's going to take, if we're going to do it the right way. So, well, I'm in favor of it, and I'm in favor of passing tonight, just because I think we've got to get started with this process, because Warren isn't here, but I recall the last meeting he said we've got to do something, and this is the best option. So I can't, Warren isn't here to say what I said, but I'm sure that I verbalized it as close as I could. Thank you.
Councilor Fennessy.
I'm with you, Jack. I think we need to do this and move forward with this now. At the last council meeting, we're all pretty much in agreement that this is the route we're going to go. I don't want to go down this road of priority-based budgeting without somebody who's the experts in it. I think we need to make sure that we do this right. We need to make sure we do it right the first time. And what this does, this gives us the tools so we can lean on somebody who's done this in many, many different cities before. They know what's worked. They know what hasn't worked. And I want to be able to lean on them for what has worked. So I would definitely want to see this passed tonight.
Okay. Further discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
in lieu of the questions that Councilor Garfield proposed, Councilor Kern and Finance Director Vito saying that she has questions as well, I would like to make a motion to refer this to the Finance Committee, as it never came out of a committee. It's just a recommendation. Therefore, I'd like to send this back to the Finance Committee.
I will second that.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to refer this to finance for further discussion and review in relation to what the county is doing. Discussion on this motion. Okay. Oh, Councilor Heck, I'm sorry.
Gene, just a question, timeline?
There shouldn't be discussion, it's a referral.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. I just want to know timeline, so.
okay.
Can we do a roll call vote
Yep,
due to the
transfers.
calls on the phone?
Yes. This is the referral to the Finance Committee. Counselor Olson,
Yes.
Counselor Tom Fennessy,
No.
Counselor Bender is excused, Counselor Sweeney,
No.
Counselor Brent Fennessy,
No.
Counselor Garfield,
Yes.
Counselor Ludwig,
Yes.
Counselor Herrick,
No.
Counselor Kern,
Yes.
Counselor Dahlbeck.
Yes.
That's 5 yes and 4 no, the motion fails.
No, carried.
The other way around.
5 to 4?
Yeah.
You need 6 to pass.
Yes,
Do we need six? Okay, yeah, so it passed for lack of a majority.
Failed.
Or failed, excuse me, failed for lack of majority.
We have a motion on the floor to approve. You want a roll call vote
Yep,
on
there's a
that?
motion and a second, yep. Yep,
Okay.
Roll call, please.
Okay, we're going to start with Counselor Tom Fennessy.
yes.
Counselor Bender is excused. Counselor Sweeney.
Yes.
Counselor Brent Fennessy.
Yes.
Counselor Garfield.
No.
Counselor Ludwig.
Yes.
Counselor Herrick.
Yes.
Counselor Kern.
No.
Counselor Dahlbeck.
No.
Oh, and Counselor Olson. I'm sorry.
No.
That is a 5 to 4, and that also fails. Nowhere. Okay. Item 8.1, Mayor Hagan is appointing Katie Numi Pearl to the Business Improvement District Board of Directors for a 3-year term expiring December 2019.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion been made and seconded for approval of this item. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Item 10.1 is a resolution introduced by the City of Superior approving a cooperation agreement with the Redevelopment Authority of the City of Superior in connection with the Zenith Landmark LLC and Earth Rider Brewing LLC project.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded for approval. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Item 10.2 is a resolution introduced by the Common Council of the City of Superior authorizing the transfer of land located at Grand Avenue and North 13th Street and on Weeks Avenue to the Redevelopment Authority of the City of Superior.
Motion approved.
That's my district.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded.
Sorry.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Sorry.
Item 10.3 is a resolution jointly introduced by the Planning Department and the Department of Parks, Recreation, and Forestry of the City of Superior in support of the Howards Bay remediation project. You have at your desks tonight a resolution objecting to the proposal from the Fond du Lac Band of Lake Superior, Chippewa, and you also have a communication. You have 2 people signed up to vote, but I think
Or to
vote. So to speak, we're going to start with the presentation first.
Yep.
Okay.
Jason, do you want to
Yeah,
start us up?
thanks, Counselor Fennessy. Counselors, I believe it was in November or December, probably December, when we presented this idea and concept to you that had kind of been brewing for probably 5 or so years. You instructed us to work with the implementation plan committee for the Wisconsin Point, as well as hold a public informational meeting. Over that time, we have tightened up the presentation based on a lot of the questions that we were getting, as well as just as the project kind of evolved, we were getting more information on our end. Joe and Darian are here again to do a short presentation. We've whittled it down to about 13 slides from the 45 or 50 it was originally. I don't know how many it was, Joe. But to just kind of talk a little bit about it, what we're looking for from counselors tonight is just a show of support via the resolution to continue to move forward. This project has kind of more or less been on hold since December, kind of waiting for support from the city so that it can continue. As we all know, we are in certain times right now where we don't know if the funding that is kind of set up for this project through the Great Lakes Initiative, through EPA, will be available. We think that this is a very viable project. Benefits not only Fraser Shipyards, it also benefits the city of Superior as well as the Point in opening it up for other recreational possibilities. So with that, I'll turn it over to Darian and Joe. Joe Graham, if you don't remember, is from the DNR. He's been the project lead from the DNR on this, and Darian, of course, has been our person from the city of Superior. So go ahead. Thanks.
Thanks. All right, so like Jason said, I'm just going to kind of hit some of the high points of the presentations that most of you already seen. But so recall that Howard's Bay is a project within the St. Louis River area of concern. There are almost 30 areas of concern in the Great Lakes. This is one of them. The target for getting the St. Louis River off of the list of areas of concern in the Great Lakes is 2020. So that, along with the funding implications that Jason talked about, is some of the urgency for getting this project accomplished soon. Howard's Bay, you can also maybe see from the picture here, is the largest remediation project on Wisconsin side of the area of concern. So it'll be great to get this project done. It's a joint effort. There would be two things going on here at the same time to kind of get some efficiencies. One would be dredging out the shipping channel, which does extend up into Howard's Bay, and the other would be the cleanup dredging, and they would both be done at the same time. So there's a lot of partners involved to get that done. A private and public partnership. On the bottom, I've highlighted who the major funding partners are. Two of them are federal, the EPA and the Corps, with funding also from the state through the DNR, and then Fraser Shipyard itself. And I kind of list the breakdown here of the project. It's estimated at $14 million total. About 65% of that would come from the federal agency. And this, by the way, is just specifically for the cleanup dredging. The $14 million does not include the shipping channel dredging. So these cost breakdowns are really just talking about the EPA, DNR, Fraser, and then the city with the in-kind contribution. Our contribution brings the total cost down by about $2 million. And there's also a consultant on board, Arcadis, who has a lot of expertise with dredging projects. All right, so what exactly is in Howard's Bay? There's 4 main contaminants here, and the pie chart up in the top right shows the breakdown. You can see it's almost all lead, and then the tiny little slice left over is broken down between mercury, tributyltin, and PAHs. On the left, you can see what those are. Lead is really coming from the paint from the ships, and also a little bit from leaded gasoline. PAHs, it's a group of chemicals. There's about 20 of them, but they're from petroleum products. They're basically products of combustion, coming from road runoff with asphalt and sealants, and from spills, and also wood treated with creosote and other petroleum things like that. Mercury, and then tributyltin is another thing that comes off the paint in the ships. So I'm just going to highlight here some of the products that are likely coming from city runoff. So this is contaminants that, in all likelihood, we are contributing into Howard's Bay. The map on the right shows where our stormwater outfalls are located, and the sewer sheds, the areas contributing to those stormwater outfalls. So it's definitely appropriate for the city to be making a meaningful contribution to getting this project done. This is kind of just a visual illustration of what's going to be happening. They'll be dredging within the shipping channel, which is the let's see, right around here. And then there's also going to be cleanup dredging outside of that. There's 3 different places that the dredged material is going to go. One is some of it's going to stay in the water, and it's going to be put up kind of by Connors Point, along this side, in places where there's mild contamination. And that stuff will just be left in place and be capped. Clean material from within the channel is going to go to Erie Pier. It's a facility operated by the Army Corps for material out of the dredge or out of the shipping channel. The rest of the cleanup dredge material is proposed to go to the closed landfill on Wisconsin Point, as you know. I wanted to put this slide in here to show that Wisconsin Point landfill is not the only place that's been looked at for placing the dredge material. There was a lot of other sites that were considered, a lot of factors to consider. Cost and capacity, of course, are really important, but also the regulations that apply for each site, just the general feasibility, the requirements for each site in terms of physical and chemical properties of what it can take. Also want to point out that actually Baxter Slip is one of the disposal sites that's listed there. That is off the table. That one's already been filled in and that project is done, so that's no longer an option. Also want to mention a couple of them, like upland placement at Fraser, basically taking it out of the water and putting it somewhere on land at Fraser, or doing the same thing, taking it out of the water and putting it at our existing landfill. Both potentially viable, but you can see the capacity for both is low if you're talking about daily cover at our landfill or upland placement at Fraser. You're just talking a real small fraction of the amount of material coming out of the water. So even if you use some of those combined, you still need a home for a whole lot of dredge material. Wisconsin Point landfill was the only one that had a low cost, high capacity, and was feasible with all the other considerations. So looking at the closed landfill, there are some issues with the cap already. There's been settling going on since the landfill was capped in 1980. This settling happens at different rates in different places, so you end up with low spots and high spots, places where water ends up actually sitting on the cap and soaking in. As that water soaks in and builds up in the landfill, it wants to find a way out. So you've got water soaking through the garbage and finding a way out. There's no liner on that landfill. When it was built in the 50s, they didn't do that. Of course, it's a terrible thing. We would never do that now, but hindsight's 2020. So the important thing with the landfill now is to get good drainage off the surface, so we don't have water building up or soaking in, and getting into the landfill where it can find its way out. Also worth pointing out that the landfill has been used for stockpiling recently. We've used it for stockpiling clay, comparable amounts to what we're proposing to bring out there now. It's already been used for that over the last several years for projects at the Moccasin Mike landfill. And we did not see structural issues with the landfill when it had all this material sitting on top of it. We didn't see any spikes in contaminants in the groundwater wells that we have around the landfill. So that makes us feel more comfortable about the proposal to bring dredge material out there and place it on top of the landfill. So some of the benefits for the Wisconsin Point landfill that we get from this project: we'd have a greater thickness of the cap, so just a bigger space between the garbage and anything on top, people, animals, plants. We'd have improved drainage, like I talked about. Without a liner, it's really important to keep liquid off the surface of the landfill so it doesn't soak in and create leaching. This would help accomplish that. We would be maintaining vegetation on the top as a condition for the project, for being able to use this site. And it would help the city avoid future maintenance of the cap. About 5 years ago, we had to do maintenance of the cap because of some of the issues I talked about. It cost us about $60,000, and that was just to do patching. That was kind of some Band-Aids. If we wanted to do a wholesale rehabilitation of the cap, like what we're going to get with this project, it'd be over $1 million. And so we're going to get that essentially for free by offering to use this site. And of course, one of the other benefits we'll talk about more is the recreational improvements. So now I'm going to try to get at the common questions that we're getting and try to clarify them in a couple different ways. So the contamination, of course, is a real big concern for a lot of people, understandably. But to put it in perspective, we've got the pie chart on the left shows the total mass of material coming out of Howard's Bay. About 90% of it is just soil. Roughly 10% of it would be a stabilizing agent mixed in to solidify it. When you take dredge material out, it's kind of soupy. It's really hard to work with. You got to put something in there to make it workable, or else let it sit for a long, long time, years, to dry out. So the project team is looking at a couple different stabilizing agents. They're actually doing a series of studies right now looking at, I think, 3 or 4 different components at a couple different ratios. Haven't decided yet what exactly they're going to use, but there's a lot of products that have been used before, so this isn't something that they're learning brand new on our project, just trying to figure out what works best for this material. There's a little teeny green dot above the word contaminants. It's 0.01% of the total volume or the total mass coming out. That's what's actually contaminants. So if you take that dot and blow it up a little bit, it's a pie chart that you've seen before. Most of that is lead. The rest of the 2% of that tiny dot is all the other 3 combined. when you're talking about the limits that would apply for what's allowed to go to Wisconsin Point landfill, what's clean enough essentially for the old landfill, the top three would all have the same limits that would be applied for a non-industrial site. In other words, the amount of lead, mercury, and tributyltin in the sediment going to Wisconsin Point landfill is the same amount that would be allowed for a residential site, a commercial site, any non-industrial site. Just to drive that home again, 98% of the contaminants that are there are lead, and the lead meets residential standards. The PAHs, the last one, there's the PAHs as a group of different chemicals. There's about 20 of them. Most of those actually also meet the residential, non-industrial standards they're called, but essentially things that would apply for a residential site. There's just a handful of those that exceed that. They're comparable to levels that have been found in urban settings elsewhere in Wisconsin, residential settings actually. So what about the leaching and the runoff? There's a lot to take in on this slide, but the point I want to drive home is that there's a lot of different ways, different redundant ways that the project has tried to get at the issue of leaching and runoff. That binding agent that I talked about, that stabilizer that will be mixed in, when they're looking at which agents to use and how much to use, one of the things they're looking at is what leaches out when it's mixed in. And they're going to make sure that what leaches out meets the groundwater standards for the state. They're also going to look at strength tests once that's been mixed in to make sure that it's going to be strong enough to stand up to have the equipment moving it around when they're placing it out there, and that it's not going to slump. Let's see. There'll be vegetation on top, like I said, as a requirement of being able to use this site. That's a requirement for any closed landfill, but also important here for making sure that the sediment that's placed out there doesn't erode away. The erosion control and stormwater plans for this will actually be more stringent than what the state requires. There'll be a 100-foot setback from the edge of the site, just in light of the fact that there are, of course, really valuable resources all around this closed landfill. And we've also talked about putting a perimeter berm, so that if anything does erode off of there, it stays on the site, doesn't get directly back into the water that we just took it out of. And the project would not increase the city's liability for monitoring, either the amount of time we have to monitor or the parameters that we have to look for. Recreational improvements, the project team, the EPA specifically, DNR and Fraser, have all agreed to provide funding for the city when the project is done to help us turn Wisconsin Point landfill into something that the community would use as a recreational site. What that looks like may look like this picture, it may not. That's completely up to the community. What we talked about is referring it to the implementation committee, having the design work for this be done along with the dune restoration project, which is another big project going on, improving recreational facilities in Wisconsin Point. It just seems to make sense to have those two happen side by side, but regardless, the details of that are up to the community. This project is not gonna, the project partners rather, are not gonna be dictating how this is done. But importantly, it would help achieve objectives that are spelled out in the Wisconsin Point Management Plan. So that's a plan developed by landowners on Wisconsin Point, members of the community. And we took those into consideration when we came up with what might happen out there. We also use those uses, those proposed uses for that site, when we came up with the criteria for what's clean enough for Wisconsin Point. And I want to take a minute here to mention that the criteria for what's clean enough to go to Wisconsin Point were developed using an EPA calculator. It's kind of a technical thing I don't want to get into too much, but part of what goes into that is guessing how long a person's going to spend out there, for how many days a year, you know, their body mass, things like that. There are some numbers in there that we use as assumptions, and I think it's important that we talk to the implementation committee, we talk to members of the community and make sure that those are realistic. There were some questions about that over the course of the last couple months. So those can certainly be revisited. Those are not written in stone. If we change those numbers, there's a chance that project costs may swing a little bit, but still, I think it's important that the community be on board with what the conditions are for using this site. Another common question we get is, what about the damage to the roads? Moccasin Lake Road, of course, is in terrible shape. Wisconsin Point Road is in great shape now. So we want to make sure that Wisconsin Point is not damaged. So one of the conditions for the project that will be spelled out in formal agreements would be that Wisconsin Point Road has to be put back to pre-project conditions. What those are would be surveyed beforehand with the Public Works Department along for those surveys, and they would have to concur with the final condition of the road before the contractor could be paid. So we've got some assurances there. For Moccasin Mike Road, we'd use a different approach. We don't want to put back to pre-project conditions because they're terrible. So our thought there is we would request payment in lieu of repairs. We would take those funds, throw them together with DOT funds, other city street funds, and resurface the road when we have all the funding put together. Again, this stuff would all be put into the formal agreements that we would bring back to the council to vote on. So we've got a little time to sort out the details on this. Right now, like Jason said, we're just looking for a kind of a nod of support to carry on planning with the assumption that we can use the closed landfill for dredge disposal. Getting close to the end here, summarize the benefits for the project. It would address the contamination in Howard's Bay, which would help get the St. Louis Harbor off the list of area of concerns. It will restore the depth of the shipping channel in Howard's Bay, the navigation depths there. It would beneficially reuse the dredge material rather than just having it be disposed of in a landfill. It would improve the cap at Wisconsin Point Landfill, which, like I said, would reduce the amount of leaching going out of the landfill and better protect Lake Superior and the wetlands out there. It would give us a new recreational area, take advantage of the funds that are available right now and may not be in the future. It would support an important local business, a maritime business, and all the workers that it employs. And it would avoid the potential for a major cash contribution from the city, given that we have contributed somewhat to the contamination that is in Howard's Bay. So this is the last slide. Just wanted to let you know the process from here. The resolution is something that would allow the project to carry on planning and doing calculations and coming up with plans, knowing that the quantities they have, the cost estimates they have are generally in line with what the final product will be. If we find out that the Wisconsin Point landfill will not work, that it's not a viable option, it changes everything. So it's really critical, really, that we get some assurance from the council in the form of the resolution that we can carry on with that as an option. If that is approved, the first step would be a landfill plan modification for the closed landfill. It's just a approval step, a formal step that we need to do with the DNR to take the material out there. As part of that, there would be a public meeting. After that, we would come back to the council with those formal agreements that I referenced, and that's where we would hash out the details about hours of hauling on the roads, what kind of long-term assurances there are for the city to protect us from liability. Things like that would be in those formal agreements. So we've got a little time to sort that out. That's also the place that we could revisit the assumptions about how long people will be out at Wisconsin Point landfill and whether that affects the quantities that can go out there. Kind of parallel with that would be a formal tribal consultation, and that would happen at the federal level between two sovereign nations. It wouldn't happen here with the city, but that's part of the process that would happen between the Corps and the tribes. There would be a complete design. The Corps would be the agency administering the contracts on this project, and they're looking at implementing it in 2018. So thanks for your attention. Are there any questions? Okay.
Okay, thank you. We do have two speakers that would like to address the council.
James Farkas.
Just a reminder to our speakers, we limit our comments from the public to 3 minutes, and I'll try to flash you a sign so I don't interrupt you.
Very good. Good evening, folks, members of the community, members of the city council here, city administration, chairperson, members of the press if they're here. My comments are in support of resolution R17-13330, Howard's Pocket Remediation program we just heard about here, and I'm encouraging the city to participate in the in-kind contribution. My name is James Farkas. As a matter of public disclosure, I do work for Fraser Shipyards, but my request for the city's support are really based on 6 things here. Number one, as an environmentalist and as a past board member of the St. Louis River Alliance, this project will remove this federally identified area of concern from Howard's Pocket and from the city of Superior. From an environmental standpoint, I believe that is the right thing to do. Number two, as a recreationalist, this cleanup project may allow for additional recreational use on Wisconsin Point. It also may allow for additional recreational use within Howard's Pocket, so I think it's the right thing to do from a recreational standpoint. As a one-time tourist to the city of Superior, I think this project will encourage people to come here, recognizing that the city of Superior takes green tourism seriously, and this project may support that. It may support also the goals of Better City Superior. Number four, I'll say it this way, I don't refer to myself this way frequently, but as a rationalist, this project is now ready. The DPA is on board, the Wisconsin DNR is on board, the Great Lakes Legacy Act is on board, the Corps of Engineers is on board, Fraser Shipyards is on board. The funding is available now, it may not be available in the future. The time to do this project is now. Five, as a business representative, this federally mandated channel needs to be open for the viability of the industry, Fraser Shipyards. There are over 100 families that rely on Fraser Shipyards for the livelihood. There's a lot of economic impact that Fraser has in the community. This project will support that as well. And finally, number six, as a concerned citizen, as a member of the 9th District of Superior, with people working in the 4th District of Superior, this project is right for the environment, right for the city of Superior, right for this community, right for the goals of Better City Superior, right for the economy, and right for the entire community. So I urge the city of Superior, the city council, to support this project. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Chuck Wald.
Excuse me. Thank you, councilors, and thank you for the opportunity to come and speak to you today on behalf of the Fond du Lac Band of Lake Superior, Chippewa. Thank you, audience, for being here. I'm here today with myself and also one of our district reps from the Fond du Lac Band, Vanessa Northrop, who's also joining us today. Before you, you have a couple of documents. One is a resolution that was signed today by the Fond du Lac Band of Lake Superior, Chippewa. It's based on, it's in opposition to placing the dredge materials in the existing landfill on Wisconsin Point. Along with that resolution is a technical document that's been prepared by our environmental staff, who have taken a look at this project and have not come to the conclusion that putting these contaminants in close proximity to Lake Superior is a good alternative for this project. We are not opposed to cleaning up Howard's Bay or the estuary area there, but very clearly we see this as basically taking contaminants out of our front yard and putting it in our backyard for a long period of time. You saw from the presentation today the close proximity to the lake, the biggest freshwater body of fresh water in the world, and to deposit those types of contaminants there is a concern. My background is in public health. I have a master's in public health from the University of Minnesota. I'm not a water ecologist, but I do understand the importance of public health and the importance of the environment. This is a project that I also agree with Mr. Farkas. It's a good economic development project, and it's also a good way to remove contaminants, but this is the wrong place as far as the Fond du Lac Band of Lake Superior is concerned to place those contaminants. We have an interest in the land. We've recently transferred about 11 acres of property from the end of Wisconsin Point. We have a cemetery there where our ancestors are buried. I'm a descendant of Chief Osagi myself. My ancestors lived in this region and that Wisconsin Point, and we would encourage you to delay any decision on this until an acceptable site can be found. And we will also continue to do the consultation as this project moves ahead. And I want to just make that clear that we're in support of cleaning up the bay. We are not in support of using that location. So with that, I want to say miigwech and thank you for hearing us out. You have the technical documents in front of you.
Okay. We've heard from two speakers, presentation. We have yet to have a motion and a second on the floor to move this resolution forward. And I'd like to entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion, there's a motion and a second to approve this resolution to move forward with the site as indicated. Discussion. Councilor Garfield.
In light of Mr. Walt's comments and the resolution we have from the tribe, which shows that the 4 representatives at the meeting out of 5 were all in opposition to the project at this point, well, my formal area of study in my master's degree program is sustainable management, and probably as well as anyone on this body, I understand the importance of addressing an area of concern on the Great Lakes. I've reviewed the relevant documents, and I think that we do need to be addressing areas of concern, but I'm also not satisfied with moving forward with zero support from the Fond du Lac Band, and I think that it would be our due diligence at this time to refer this back to Parks and Recreation and to give the tribe the opportunity to come back into the Parks and Rec Commission, sit down with us, have this discussion, and see if there's a way to proceed with more support or with a better understanding of this project. And with that in mind, I would make a motion to refer this back to Parks and Recreation.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made to refer to Parks and Recreation.
Second.
Just a second. In Parks and Rec, not the Wisconsin Point implementation?
Well, Parks and Recreation was mentioned as a... I would be amenable to the Wisconsin Point implementation.
Where you feel it should go.
The Parks and Rec. Then I will change that to the Wisconsin Point Implementation Committee.
Is that all right with the?
I'll second, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, and there is no discussion on a referral. So.
No, that's why I'm still trying to get the first part of the discussion before this goes to a referral, if possible.
Okay, well, we've got to do the motion for a referral
Okay.
first. So there's a motion on the floor and a second to refer back to the Wisconsin Point Implementation Committee, where it's been for quite some time already. Discussion? If not, all in favor of the referral, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
No.
No.
No. We want to do a roll call?
Yeah, let's do a roll call on that. Counselor Sweeney.
No.
Counselor Brent Fennessy.
No.
Counselor Garfield.
Aye.
Counselor Ludwig.
No.
Counselor Herrick.
No.
Counselor Kern.
Aye.
Counselor Dahlbeck.
Yes.
Counselor Olson.
Yes.
Counselor Tom Fennessy.
No.
And Counselor Bender is excused. 5-4, that motion fails.
Okay, the motion failed to refer back to committee, so the motion on the floor, we've got a motion and a second for approval of the resolution as detailed in our packet. Further discussion, Counselor Herrick.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong in saying this, but isn't the point of this is to continue to go on, and going on into this, it's just another step that there will be a conversation with the tribal community. That's what I guess that's what I need to straighten out here, because it's not that we're going to do it right now. It's just that we're going to continue moving this forward, and then there will be discussion with the tribal communities. Is that correct?
Yes. Jason?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, further discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution, say aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
Then if we want to do a roll call, just
Yeah.
get it on the record. Let's do a roll call.
Counselor-
And if I could just remind, and I should have done this a long time ago, if you could turn on your mic when you do the roll call vote so that the public can hear exactly how you're voting, I'd appreciate it. Thanks.
Counselor Brent Fennessy.
We're voting for the resolution?
Yes, to approve the resolution.
Yes.
Counselor Garfield.
No.
Counselor Ludwig.
Yes.
Counselor Herrick.
Yes.
Counselor Kern.
Yes.
Counselor Dahlbeck.
No.
Counselor Olson.
Yes.
Counselor Tom Fennessy.
Yes.
Counselor Bender is excused. Counselor Sweeney.
Yes.
7-2, that motion passes.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for the speakers, too, bringing it in front of us for the information.
Okay. Item 11.1 is an ordinance introduced by the Public Works Committee, amending the traffic code speed limits by adding 25 miles per hour on Barden Avenue from the intersection of Stinson to 3,000 feet south, and amending 35 miles per hour on Barden Avenue from 3,000 feet south of the intersection of Stinson Avenue, south to North 58th Street.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to approve this ordinance. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Hearing none, motion carries.
11.2 is an ordinance introduced by the Department of Planning and Development to amend the zoning code, district regulations regarding interior unit self-service storage facilities.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to approve this ordinance. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Hearing none, motion carries. Any business by
Yeah,
public?
welcome. I'm opposing.
Okay, thanks for that clarification. Any business by public? None? I guess Counselor Bender's not here, so I'm going to entertain a motion for adjournment. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.